Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you might be. I am Nicole BC, and you know everything. This is the kind of episode I know I'm going to get trolled hard for. Thank you, YouTubers. You're all so generous and delightful. Love being here with you. I'm calling this the holiday prep episode because we were building off of everything we've talked about all year, all incarnation of this podcast, and recognizing 'tis the season. So depending on when you're listening to this, we were about to roll into the autumnal and then winter holidays. You've probably just finished your last fall break until your next break in the Northern Hemisphere. Whatever holidays you celebrate, there are several for most cultures. And in this dumpster fire that is a reality right now, in this old world, new world collapse and rebuild, despite if you are a business owner, a builder, a creator, an artist, a leader, or a team of one, we are all being asked to show up and get through. And we're all going to have a different reason for doing that, a different definition of what we want that to look like. But what I hope to talk about today is the art of falling apart beautifully. So we talked a little bit last week about burn the map, because where we're going, we won't need roads. This week, I just want to remind everybody, we still have roads. There's just no fucking map. And you are going to get a very real-time opportunity to remind yourself of what your default is when you're stressed and what your potential is when you are willing to just be. What inspired this episode was this realization, like, I had to be so fucking strong in order to learn how to be soft. Like, I had to become more obstinate and more stubborn and more resilient and more physically strong, let alone emotionally, mentally, spiritually strong than I could have ever imagined in order to be in this moment, to soften to a space and a place where I could discover again. I mean, it feels like learn for the first time how to do everything, how to create everything, how to hold it all again. Because strength isn't about holding it all together. It's about knowing when to let it fall apart. And the strongest leaders aren't the ones who push through. They are the ones who pause, who let go, who cry, who cry in public, like I said last week, or cry in the shower. And then they wipe their tears and dry off if they were in the shower and try again. You're going to have a lot of those moments over the next few weeks and months. And I challenge that to any listener in any time and any moment. So sure, we're getting into the end of this Gregorian calendar year where hope and burnout collide. They meet under the mistletoe for one last high school makeout session. This is where the budgets break down, where the breakdowns need budgets, where family and forecasting fail because no one could have predicted how fucking crazy it was going to get, where joy seems to be measured in spreadsheets, because if we're not tracking it, it might not exist at all. It's that sacred, chaotic moment between endings and beginnings, whether it's this calendar year or your own sanity. This is the collision point, my friend. And you're fucking dancing in it. Or maybe you're just like sitting in your car screaming. I did that. I did one of my regular Mecca trips to New Orleans. And on the way back, just all hell broke loose on that particular day between work and projects and expectations and disappointment and people making me the bad guy. I screamed so loud, I actually lost my voice. I was reminded of my vocal exercises. Today, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what happens when you don't know what happens next. We talked about burning the map. We talked about trying to create when nobody even knows what they want. Does that sound like a family evening to you? I got you. But yeah, I mean, really today, it's not going to be the same as last week. It is going to be focused upon how to be strong enough to be soft. We talked about going limp, letting go, surrendering. This is building. I don't want to say building because you're already here. So this is harnessing that resilience that nobody wanted to prove, yet here the fuck we are. And we're going to lean into this holiday season because it is the Paradox Buffet. I know you are supposed to rest, right? And celebrate, but there is so much to fucking do. And there are very real deadlines, AKA the holidays. We're supposed to be grateful, but like you're at fucking capacity and no one is stepping up to help. And yeah, 'tis the season to be joyful, but your to-do list, your inbox, your calendar looks like an actual exorcism. It is the ultimate creative tension. You're closing one chapter while trying to write the next. You're supposed to celebrate and simultaneously forecast 2026 next year. You are wildly disoriented, but look around and it seems like everyone's got it together. Like they've already finished their Christmas shopping. I don't even do Christmas shopping. I stopped buying presents a long time ago because that was just too much for me to do. And also this whole like consumerist, blah, blah, blah paradigm, old world, not gonna do it. The Paradox Buffet you are standing in line for, it's not a glitch in the matrix, my friend. It is actually the operating system of growth. The big leap, the reinvention, the miracle of having made it up until now. It is part and parcel with this contraction, this contradiction. We talked a little bit about this last time. Like it is actually in the collapse and it is necessary to collapse to then discover this strength and this wherewithal to reorient in a direction that feels right. So yeah, if you feel stretched, like you've got one foot on burnout and one foot on breakthrough, but those two islands are drifting further and further apart, congratulations. We're all here together. We're all kumbayaing it. And this is where the new leader gets to stand, albeit doing the splits. So there is actually a term called soft leadership. Let's talk about what soft really means. It doesn't mean weak. It doesn't mean indecisive. It doesn't mean emotional EQ, emotional intelligence. It means responsive. It means adaptive. You know what I'm going to say next? Emergent, my new favorite word. Soft means able to receive data, emotional, energetic, environmental, and adapt. A 2018 study in Frontiers Psychology coined the term resilient flexibility. Soft leaders who oscillate between drive, rest, logic, intuition, and therefore they outperform the rigid planners by 36% in creative problem solving and 28% in team trust. I never trust those percentages, but just know resilient flexibility, that ability to both push and pause, plan and feel, outperforms the systemic, structured, stubborn, I'm pointing at myself, haha, forcers, fearmongers. Your nervous system is an incredible source of inspiration, but it is a pendulum. Resilience isn't holding the middle. It's not balance. It is swinging and returning without panic. It's recognizing this is a moment. If it is drenched in fear and anxiety, maybe don't act in it. Maybe don't make big decisions in it. Maybe wait for that pendulum to swing. It's called the micro recalibration loop. This is where we notice the signal, that piece of information. We tune into, are we tight? Are we tense? Are we tired? We name it out loud. We release that energy. We recognize it for what it is. That's the pause. Stretch, hydrate, breathe, go cry in the bathroom. And we re-engage from neutral. From that neutral space, the resilient, flexible, soft leader creates. That's it. I was talking with somebody the other day about what it takes to actually create change, and they said it's 3.5%. Now, I'm sure you've heard the compounding interest theory of like 1% better each day yields 365% better by the end of the year, compounding over, that blah, blah, blah. But to create a change in the world, if you can affect 3.5% of your environment, it will ripple. That's what we're talking about. Neuroscience meets emotional fluency, a productivity hack, but not bypassing. That means you can sustain it. As we talked about last week, the collapse increases capacity. So what we're doing is recognizing it is really fucking hard. Okay, by doing hard things, I get stronger. That's the paradox. In order to do the hard thing, I need to be strong. In order to be strong, I have to do the hard thing. You with me? So you've heard me talk about reverse engineering a lot over the years. And now when we talk about reverse engineering, we're picking a target we don't even believe is going to happen. We recognize you can't plan that far in advance right now. Everything keeps changing so quickly. So how do you build when you have no idea where this is going? How are we building 21st century business when no one's successfully done it yet? So how to build when you have no idea where this is going? Old world business says start with goals, map the plan, hit the target. But like I just said, target keeps moving and we burned the map last week. Welcome to the new economy, baby. Where reverse forecasting is the name of the game. You don't forecast from revenue anymore. You forecast from resonance. So ask yourself these 3 questions. What conversations keep finding me? What pattern keeps repeating in my clients or my team, my business? What would still feel generative even if it didn't work? That's kind of like that old question. If you had $1 gajillion, what would you do? Or if you didn't get paid for it, would you still do it? That's what we mean when we say, what would still feel generative, even if it didn't quote unquote work? That's your resonance. The answers to those questions is your direction. MIT's 2023 study on adaptive organizations found that companies built around emergent data, real-time emotional and behavioral feedback loops, innovate faster than those sticking to 5-year plans. There was a study like ages ago, I think it was like Harvard Business School or something, that was like people with 5-year plans outperformed those without by 80%. And of the ones who wrote those plans down, outperformed those who didn't by blah, blah, blah. That study never existed. But apparently MIT did do a study in 2023 that said innovative, emotional, and behavioral feedback loops outperform actual 5-year plans. What does that mean? What's the point? Feelings are data. Energy is a KPI. Welcome, the Energy Leadership Index, my friends. Join me. Softness isn't anti-strategy. It's evolutionary intelligence. It's going to feel like jazz improv, not a classical composition. So, the new ritual for soft leadership. And this was just as much for me as it was for you, as is every single one of these fucking episodes. Believe me, I I am theorizing in real time. I am using my experience and my clients and the research as an experiment because we're building in real time. The podcast interview I just did, Nicole Ayers from Jumpsuit Agency, who you will get to listen to, talks about it like awakening in public, 20th century business. It was built in public. We are now emerging in public. I talked about this in the loop, and I think in another episode. Hope is not a mindset. Hope is not optimism. Hope is a choice. Hope is a mechanism. My boyfriend, Dr. Andrew Huberman from Stanford, neuroscientist, so you know it's good, who got canceled. That just cleared the dating pool as far as I'm concerned. He found that hope, genuine embodied hope, releases dopamine before the outcome. This is what I was talking about and what dopamine is all about. It's not what you get after. It's not the reward molecule. It is the motivation molecule. Hope fuels persistence. Instead of forcing motivation, using will to create the way, you can train through hope. How do you do that, BZ? I'm about to tell you, my friend. Each morning ask, where am I really? Not in paper, but in body, breath, and mood. I talked about this in the loop. It's fucking hard right now. I get it. I don't talk about a lot of it. You don't need me to. Everybody fucking else is, right? It is so easy to default to the survival mode. And that might be your best. But the reason I am demanding hope of myself, because hope is my mechanism for success. And I know that if in each moment I am doing my best, which might look like going back to sleep, it might look like waking up. I won't know until that moment where I ask myself, where am I really? I had a plan, I had a goal, but where am I in this moment? And again, midday, ask yourself, am I motivated by fear or am I motivated by faith? I actually have an alarm set up on my phone that I have to continually remind myself to turn off while recording these podcasts because it goes off generally every 90 minutes. If I'm in a space, I have one set at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. with little mantras on it, little phrases to remind myself. Every time I look at my phone screen, it says, check yourself. Am I picking up my phone to disassociate and distract, or is there a meaningful purpose behind it? Before every task, set the intention. I talk about this ad nauseum, the energy behind the action. What is my intention? Creation, clarity, calm, connection. Get there, then act. End each day, close the portal, close the door, close the container, whatever words you want to use, but end it gratefully. No matter how big of a shit show it was, it's fucking over. We can be thankful for that. I was talking about this. I'm sure I've shared this here as well. And a friend echoed it back to me. When I lay down, I am so grateful for that support. My whole body is literally being supported in that moment. It doesn't matter what I'm laying on or sitting on. I can be grateful for that. Those are some daily practices, right? Just taking a step back weekly, monthly. Focus on something you're hopeful about. Ideally, something different than the last time you went through this. And don't even do this for you. Do this for me. Do this for us. Your hope feeds our hope. My hope is literally feeding your hope right now. See how that works? Hope isn't personal. It's contagious. It's the nervous system's version of herd immunity. Hope is the opposite of toxic positivity. It's pragmatic. It's the pulse of your business. It's why we're creating. It's why you're listening in the first place. Some of you might feel real stuck right now, real frozen. I get that. I'm there like 5 times a day. This isn't great place to actually cultivate some hope from, to play with this concept of soft leadership. Because if you can't, don't. Do something no one else is going to see or notice. Give yourself permission. Whether it's get in your car and drive, whether it's take a nap, whether it's, watch Hunting Wives. When you give yourself permission to play in that space of freeze, you're going to let something new sneak in the side door. I don't even want to tell you, just play with that one. If you're feeling stuck, the hope choice there is I get to play here. Put a timer on whatever kind of feels safe. Oftentimes I'll give myself like an hour. I'll look at my calendar and see if there's anything on it. That's kind of where I start. I'll look at my to-do list. I'll see if there's anything that's a 911. Assuming neither of those things are going to infiltrate, I'll take the space that I need. And sometimes it's less than that. Sometimes I don't feel very safe to do that. So I'll set it for 15 minutes. And then in 15 minutes, it still feels like, okay, I'll do another 15 minutes, so on and so forth, right? That can evolve into a slightly bigger container. So once we move through the freeze, we alchemize, we transmute that level 1 energy. Now we can pick a project. We step up to level 3. Just the first step. And I know you've heard that 1,100,000 times, but again, set a timer and give yourself some space to hope and to play and to create. And whatever that might look like, maybe try doing the thing completely differently than you ever have before. Maybe you're just calling somebody and talking to them about it. Maybe you can ask them to sit there with you in that space and while you take that first step. Soft doesn't mean swirly. It's not chaotic. There's a rhythm to it. And this ritual of rest, this architecture of freedom, this new way of working has yet to be discovered. All I'm asking is, will you play with it? Will you be malleable? That's really why soft is so special. It's the recognition that in this moment I need something. I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to try a few things and allow myself to kind of open to this experience. Once you've iterated on this, you've done it a few times, it's been some days, become a practice, air quotes. We can capture this process like it's your compass. If we don't have roads, if we don't have a map, how are you orienting? Does it feel good? Does it feel bad? What did those spaces, those experiments within the freeze or the slightly more structured, productive, I'm going to try one thing, maybe from a completely different angle. Like, what did they yield for you? What were the results of the experiment? And notice your interpretations of that. I will often, and still, even this week, shame myself for having not got enough done or celebrate myself for having gotten lots done. I'm just aware of that now. I like it when I'm productive. I don't like it when I'm not. What I am allowing is like not being in charge of that anymore. Some days I get to bust it out. Some days I don't. We'll figure it out. You'll hear me say the jury is still out. But I'm going to hope today's a busted out day. And I'm also going to hope I give myself the space to rest and recuperate if it's not. Old leadership said, own other people's problems, thrive in other people's chaos. New leadership says, attune the room, entrain the energy. So rather than dipping down into that fear and that force and that reactivity of stress and urgency and scarcity, you rise to hope, to creativity, to connection. And you can do that in the same space, in the same energy that's happening outside of you. When you self-regulate, you co-regulate the space. Your calm becomes culture. Your breadth becomes bandwidth. in that same 2023 MIT Sloan study that found the resilient flexibility. They'd coined another term, psychological elasticity, the ability to joke. I might have a PhD in that one. Pause or emotionally reframe. Definitely have a PhD in that. It's my most annoying quality during crisis. So I'm just going to repeat that without my own editorial notes. Teams with psychological elasticity, the ability to joke, pause, or emotionally reframe during crisis, recovered faster and retained more creative output. What does that mean? Softness shortens recovery time. That's not bullshit. That's ROI, my friend. So if you are a tuning fork, when you vibrate coherence, the whole system aligns. Your nervous system is the brand. This is leadership as energetic architecture. Less command and control, more listen and tune. I don't think I've ever summed up the energy leadership index better than that. So here's the truth, or my truth, a truth. See if it resonates for you. You don't need to know where you're going. You just need to know when to breathe. You don't need to know when to breathe. You breathe automatically without even thinking about it, effortless. You don't need a map. You just need rhythm. You don't need certainty. You need curiosity. The future isn't planned. It doesn't even exist yet. It is being felt into existence by you, choosing what feels good. If you're out here leading without answers, creating without clarity, loving without guarantees, you are doing it right. Maybe put this on a sticky note, or if you have lipstick, permission to put it on your mirror. I don't have to know. I just get to trust the next true step for me. And then you just take one micro action, one mini action. Do I want to brush my teeth right now? Do I want to have my coffee? Do I want to go back to sleep? Do I want to get up? Do I feel like going for a walk? Do I feel like reading a book? It's like actually that simple. Send it. Do it. Be the weirdo. Take the nap. Start the thing. Have the conversation. Reach out to the weirdo. The fellow weirdos. Hit me up. That's how the new world is built. Not through force, but frequency. Not through pressure, but presence. You are strong enough. Now you're here with me. That's the proof. You were strong enough to be soft. That softness is the strategy. Tis the season. So bring that with you to the holiday stressors, the obligatory invitations, and let your resonance be your guide. Just say no to one thing. Just walk away from one conversation. Just create a special moment for you, by you, to you. That's the future. That's what's possible. So yeah, maybe share this with somebody who looks like they're holding it all together, but probably needs the permission to fall apart beautifully. Thank you for being here. I do wish you the best. We've got so much more to go through. And actually, if you've made it all the way to the end here, I would really love to know. I'm thinking about making December's last 3 to 5 episodes of the year kind of all about the magic in business. Like, I don't know. It feels like a pretty witchy time of year for me. I know that technically that's this time of year right now. I'm reporting from October. I don't know. I always kind of do some fun things right at the end of the year. Like last year's Zappa, What Would Zappa Do episode was on New Year's Eve. But this one felt like a little bit like, how can you build some magic, whatever that means to you? How can you bring in that intuition? How can you play with some tools to, I don't know, make this just feel a little more romantic, a little more fantastical? That's what I'm looking for. Some fantasy and fiction in my future. I was going to say something else, but we'll save the fucked upness for many more discussions. I love you.